If you're loving this podcast, be sure to check out the full lineup. From news and local politics to sports and true crime. Find your next great listen right now at duluthnewstribune.com/podcasts. That's duluthnewstribune.com/podcasts.
Hello, Northlanders. It's Monday, July 31st. I'm Wyatt Buckner, the Duluth News Tribune Minute, presented by Minnesota Power Employees Credit Union.
The average MPECU member saves over $785 a year in better rates and lower fees. And with MPECU, every ATM is your ATM. With their free checking program, you get ATM fee reimbursements at any ATM anywhere in the U.S. Check out Minnesota Power Employees Credit Union services online at mpecu.com or visit their offices in downtown Duluth, Arrowhead Road, or Miller Trunk Highway.
Now here's a look at today's headlines. Space weather experts predict that a coronal mass ejection released from the sun on July 28th will arrive at Earth late tonight and spark a minor aurora display. Unfortunately, it's also the night before full moon. The light should start around 10 p.m. Central Time as a G1 geomagnetic storm and then intensify from 1 a.m. until dawn, possibly reaching G2 or moderate level. Without a bright moon, we might hope to see aurora across the upper Midwest as well as southern Canada and northern Europe, but unless it exceeds expectations, most of us won't notice it. If you have a DSLR or mirrorless camera, you can check for aurora anytime, even during a full moon. Find an open view to the north and point your camera in that direction, and be sure to include the horizon. Make a series of exposures. If you see green, the aurora is afoot. Night sky photographer Bob King said when the moon is in a bright phase, gibbous or full, it throws enough light to brighten the bottom 10 degrees of sky, where the air is thickest and scatters most light. While the slippery aurora is frequently fraught with uncertainty, the moon is decidedly not. You can look up exactly when it will rise and set and plan accordingly. The full sturgeon moon, named for the time of year when sturgeon fishing is best in the Great Lakes, occurs on August 1st at 1:31 p.m. Central Daylight Time. That's when the moon, earth, and sun, in that order, form a nearly straight line. At this time, sunlight illuminates nearly 100% of the lunar disk. Minutes later, the moon's phase begins to wane. National Night Out has returned again. The annual event is held the first Tuesday in August across the United States. In Duluth, over 60 events have been scheduled in neighborhoods in the 27-mile-long city. The event is a community-building campaign that promotes interactions and camaraderie among emergency service providers and neighbors. It's been held for 39 years, barring some exceptions for COVID-19. Events throughout the city range from small gatherings of neighbors around a campfire, to businesses building community with pig roasts, to churches with ukulele music and streets with belching contests. Find your local National Night Out gathering by visiting duluthmn.gov/police/community-policing/national-night-out. Now Dan Williamson joins us with a special guest.
Thanks, Wyatt. I'm joined by one of our colleagues, Jay Gabler, Duluth News Tribune arts and entertainment reporter. And Jay has a story that he's working on for Wednesday's print edition of the Duluth News Tribune. It's also a story we can find online prior at duluthnewstribune.com. And Jay, it's the Battle of the Titans. Seltzer versus cider versus beer. What more can you tell us?
Yes, that's right. I was inspired by the fact that this weekend on Saturday at the Deck, there's going to be a cider versus seltzer festival. So you can go to Pioneer Hall and try a bunch of different ciders and seltzers and compare and contrast. Of course, this follows the big beer festival that happened last Saturday at Bayfront Festival Park, All Pints North. So there are a lot of craft beverage samplings happening in Duluth right now. And I thought it'd be interesting to sort of take a look at the state of the art and see where things stand in those three big product categories. And so I talked to local experts, staff at Hoops Brewing and Wild State Cider and at Blacklist Brewing.
Jay, what was your biggest takeaway from this story?
It's interesting to learn where things stand right now in those beverage categories. Seltzer, of course, is booming. It is a huge product category right now. Hard seltzers, that is. Of course, non-alcoholic seltzers also are big. Just want to talk about LaCroix, But seltzers are huge, both with alcohol and increasingly with THC and CBD. And meanwhile, you've got cider. Keeping on, has been around for a long time, is going to be around for a lot longer. Duluth has two craft cideries that are doing well. And then, beer is still huge, but beer is really changing. The world of beer is changing a lot. And I learned the biggest, by far, the fastest growing product category in the beer realm is non-alcoholic beer. Breweries are really rushing to develop really good tasting non-alcoholic beer and just lighter, lower alcohol beers. That's where consumer demand is right now, I hear.
Very interesting. What do you hope our audience takes away from your story?
Well, I am a fan of craft beverages myself, but I also just think that it is a cool part of Duluth's culture. These are beverages that are crafted lovingly by really creative, dedicated people using the best water in the world. They all say, Lake Superior water. That's if you're talking about seltzer or beer. Cider is made from apple juice, I learned from the expert at Wild State. So those are apples that typically come in from Washington State because Minnesota just does not grow enough apples to meet our taste for cider. But these are all locally made beverages, and all of the people I talk to emphasize there are a lot of options, including non-alcoholic options, low alcohol options, and they are, hoping that people check out the wide variety of tastes available at all their establishments across Duluth. And of course, you can go beyond that to Superior, the Northland, and Minnesota. I'm just fascinated by this industry and always glad to have an opportunity to let people know what is brewing here in Duluth.
Well said. I'm looking forward to checking this article out, and you can check this article out in Wednesday's print edition of the Duluth News Tribune, as well as online prior at duluthnewstribune.com. Jay, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, Dan.
Wyatt, back to you.
Thanks, Dan. Now here's a look at your forecast, brought by Superior Telegram's history podcast, Archive Dive.
Weather for the Duluth area today, looking at mostly sunny skies and high temperatures back into those low 80s. Overnight tonight, partly cloudy skies, and more chances of some smoke do make their way in late tonight into early tomorrow morning. But besides that, mostly sunny for Tuesday, high temperatures in the upper 70s. I'm Storm Tracker meteorologist Robert Pointer.
Thank you to Archive Dive for their support. The monthly history podcast, hosted by Superior Telegram reporter Maria Lockwood, dips into the archives of historic events, people, and places around Superior and Douglas County. You can find the latest episode of Archive Dive at superiortelegram.com or wherever you also get this podcast. Reporting for today's episode was done by Bob King, Terry Caddo, and Jay Gabler. Thank you for listening to the Duluth News Tribune Minute. Have a great day, and we'll see you back here tomorrow.